Good afternoon, good evening, friends, and welcome to another live reality game podcast. My name is Kirk, and today we are going to dive deep once again, probably for the last time, into Survivor BC Season 7, The Tribulation, with the creator, the host, JIREH. Welcome.
Hey Kirk, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Like I said a little bit earlier, I had a great day picking blueberries with Isabel. So I'll do a quick shout out. Happy birthday, Isabel. She is a production member for Survival Challenge, an LRG that didn't get the chance to go on this summer. So it was really cool to be able to see her on her birthday. But how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, Kirk. I just finished going to the gym about 2 hours ago. It was back and biceps day, so I'm feeling all pumped up and ready to go.
Right on. This has been a new transition in your life too. I've been watching your posts, reading about this, and I can tell you this is nothing to do with Survivor BC, but I think transformations playing Survivor is, and that's been a transformation for me too this year. I quit
That's
smoking a
awesome.
year ago, and I've been working out, and I feel healthier than I have in a long time. So,
Yeah, no,
congrats.
yeah, congrats to you. That's awesome. That's so awesome.
So let's dig right into it. I mean, people are here to hear you talk, hear the man talk about season
Oh,
7. Like, let's start at the very beginning. It's called the tribulation. I know there's some meaning in that for you. So can you get into the nitty-gritty? How did you come up with this theme? What's the inspiration behind it?
yeah, well, the main inspiration behind Tribulation is I kind of wanted a theme that sort of brought reference to my Christian faith. I grew up as a Christian. My dad's a pastor, and I kind of wanted to reference that somehow in a future season. And um, with tribulation, it references hardships and struggling, and survivors. That's a huge part of Survivor, but also tribulation references the Great Tribulation, which is about the biblical end times and something I've learned about for 27 years of my life. And so that's sort of the inspiration. Those two, I wanted to mesh them together and try to make the theme based around that, and then let the contestants, take the theme and use that theme in whichever way they wanted to use it. Yeah.
It's like they can take the theme and use it or toss it if they don't want to. I mean, Dylan made the theme part of his journey. That was
That's
one of my
right.
favorite parts of Final Tribal was how he connected that.
No, I loved it. Yeah, I really appreciated how he tied the theme together to his story. Yeah. Don't say end times in 2020. All
Tegan,
right.
that's very fair. Um, but I mean, it also is very apropos for being 2020. Let's get into a little bit of that. That
Okay.
must have been chaos. I mean, coming from a host, uh, getting a cast together. You want to talk about some of your own tribulations with just getting a cast?
Yeah. So coming in January 2020, I had a basically a full cast of 24 players, 12 males, 11 to 12 females, and I was really excited. And there were so many great players that I was really excited to watch. And then the pandemic happened, and one by one they slowly had to drop out until we got the confirmation in June that the borders are going to remain closed until the end of July, and so I had to cut everyone else, and I was left with two people from the original 24, Luke and Knight, and I had to sort of scramble to find more people just to up the number, and so that was stressful. I was I was finally able to get the 14th contestant Andrew, basically a week before filming started, and um, I'm really thankful. I'm so grateful that I was able to round out the cast of 14 because uh, it was looking like for a long time we would only have 11 or 12 people, and so I'm really grateful for like Aiden and Jeff and Andrew who like all joined the last minute. And I'm sure I'm forgetting other people as well, but no, I'm really grateful. But it was tough. It was really tough.
So you're saying, okay, so who was kind of last minute? I'm really curious about
Okay,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So it was Aiden. He applied like a month before, like early June, and then Jeff applied. Well, actually, I asked Jeff to compete about 2 weeks before because we had more people drop out, and then Andrew applied a week before the filming started. So those were the three. Trying to think back, everyone else. Mitchell applied in May, so he was pretty late. Everyone else everyone else like had applied when during when the cast when the applications were up, and some of these players I had cut, but then I asked them, hey, can you play? uh, and other some of these players were cast for a season that I was going to do in May, which was only 3 days long, and then that season had to be canceled, and I brought them to this season, the one in July, and then there are other returning players who I just asked straight up.
I know, like when the live feeds started and I saw Tyler and Jeff, I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I'm gonna keep this spoiler free about season 5, but I was just like, "Oh my gosh, these two together again. This
I
is
know.
this is cool." So yeah, so okay. So that must have just been crazy because hosting, for those of you that don't host these events, putting together a cast is so time consuming. It takes up a lot of your time when you'd rather be like creating challenges or creating twists and doing all this other fun stuff. But you really have to kind of negotiate all of these individual schedules, when people are going to arrive, where they're going to stay. I mean, there is so much. One person could just do that, and really, you need a whole team to do it. But
Oh yeah.
it's tough. So I can imagine people probably dropped out, because they couldn't cross the border. Um, some people probably just had somebody at home that maybe was elderly or sick or immunocompromised and just
That's right.
couldn't come, just couldn't risk it.
Yeah.
Um, but we are thankful for the people that did show up and
Yes.
did put on a stellar event. It was an amazing cast. I mean, I don't think a game has to be 16 people or 20 people or 24 people. In fact, your odds are better to win when it's 14 people. So, as a player, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I know. Huge props to the cast. I'm so grateful for all of them, playing hard. They all played hard. They all played the best to their ability, and that's all you can ask for, as a producer. Yeah, I'm really happy.
So, let's talk about some people that kind of stood out. Well, first, maybe let's talk about the returnees.
Okay. Yeah, no, for sure.
I mean, people have seen most of their game except for maybe Jeff, and part of Tyler's. So, I mean, let's get into their history and did they play similarly to before? Did it change up? Like, what did you see?
Okay, I love this question. So I guess we'll start with the very most, the earliest contestant that returned, Jenny. So Jenny's story, like back in season two, when she competed in 2013, she had a boyfriend who she's no longer with, and she ended up in a swap situation where she was reunited with her boyfriend and then made a mistake where she slept in the same sleeping bag as her boyfriend, and it caused all of her allies to like perk
Oh,
up, and ended up basically being the end of her game because of that. So her coming into this season, I was really excited just to see how she would play. If she would sleep in the same sleeping bag as another player. I'm just kidding, but yeah, I think her gameplay didn't really change compared to season two. She was she no she she was 7 years older, so there was that, so she was more mature. But in terms of survivor gameplay, I didn't see much of a change. She was still, her passionate, cute, bubbly self, but she still played hard. She still played she's just so likable. I just love Jenny so much. And
absolutely.
so yeah.
It's so cool to see female Survivor players that are such big fans and just love the game so much. And I keep putting this out there. I want LRGs to do a podcast of just female Survivor players and talk about why they're passionate about it and why they play it and why other females can come out and play this game. But Jireh, I mean, you brought it back to me. I had binge watched season 2 prior to season 5.
Oh,
I didn't remember Jenny, but I remember the incident of the sleeping bag with the boyfriend, and I remember the downfall from that. So now it's all coming back to me. Um, that's great. So why don't we move to
let's move to Luke.
Luke? Yes.
Okay, yeah, no. Luke, um, if you listen to the preseason podcast that I did with my production team, Luke was my second overall pick, but leading up to the season before Andrew was cast, Luke was my number one pick. I really thought Luke would be, had a really great shot to win this season, and a main reason was because in his previous season he was very loyal. He had his pink boys, Raymond, Matthew, and Devin that were all loyal to him. He's the type to want to bro down, and I felt like in this cast he would do really well with that. And so coming into this season, he learned from his mistakes. He helped out in production for season 5 and season 6, which I really appreciated. And it was clear he really learned from everything, and he put that into practice. He never had a vote against him this season, and I was really impressed with Luke. He played a phenomenal game, uh, a very loyal game, which is something I do appreciate, because if I were to play Survivor, that's sort of probably what the type of game I would play, just to be loyal to my alliance to the end. And no, yeah, I Luke's improvement from season 4 was huge, and I almost also believe that Luke was really close to winning season 4, and so it's the redemption for him winning this season
Yeah,
7.
he was this close to winning season 4. I mean, literally
Oh
so
yeah,
close. And so this is just that. This is a cherry on top of the ice cream sundae for Luke. I mean, he probably must have always felt like I'm kind of a winner. Like people that get to the end of Survivor, like when you're a runner up, especially like when a vote is close, I always feel like you need to walk away feeling a winner. Like I
that's
know there's
right.
only one winner in Survivor, but how you walk away from the game really defines you and your experience. So he played season 4 like a winner,
That's
in
right.
my
No,
opinion. And this one he did. Actually, I doubted Luke the entire game. Like let's get a hot take. Like
I
you can
love
find
it.
my comments. I was one of them, just like Nate. Devin was too. I'll call Devin out right now. We were talking down about Luke's game, and it wasn't until kind of like doing this retrospective that we could kind of like tap into like what is Luke's game? Like what did he do that was so super effective? And he owned it at the end. He completely earned the win.
Oh yeah. No, I totally agree. Yeah.
So let's go to Tyler.
Oh, okay, Tyler. Oh boy. Okay. So I have a lot to say about Tyler. I think I need to bring it back all the way to 2014 when he competed on season 3. And what I see Tyler as one of, if not the best, Survivor BC player. Um, especially when he's you know because he has a philosophy where make every opportunity. Wait, what was it again? Use every opportunity to advance yourself in the game, and he exemplified that in season 3. He made up a lie about having a kid at the final tribal. He just played on his humor and his um being that class clown that everyone loved. And season 3, he knew nobody in that cast, and it was only 3 days long, and everyone in that cast was different from him in a lot of ways, and so him winning that season is so impressive to me. um, and so we jump forward. I'll pass by season 5. We go to season 7, and you know, I guess you could say his experience on season 7 was sort of the opposite of season 3. He came to the season, knowing a lot of people in the cast, and he was 6 years older than he was back in 2014. And so uh, I wanted to honor his legacy as a Survivor BC player, bring him back for season 7, because in many ways I saw him as not only the best Survivor BC player, but also a player that I felt like saved my series uh, with how he played in season 3, and how high the fan reaction was. to him. Um, so what I'm basically trying to say is, when he played season 7, it was a little bit shocking to me because, um, first off, there was a there was a few comments. Maybe there was that one comment. That that I want to talk about. So
Let's go there. I
go there.
think I know where you're going.
Okay, all right, okay. So I feel like it's important, to bring up race and diversity in all live reality games, and how important they are. And me being a person of color, it's uh it's important to me to be aware of this and to bring a awareness to this. Um, so uh, okay, so you were there when Tyler made that comment, that orgers are worse than races, and it, to me at the time, I was just thinking back to um, when you know I decided to bring him to this season, and I know that it was just a joke, but I'm a person of color, and I'm also one of the few person of color LRG hosts, and I brought him back 3 times. I've been friends with him for 6 years, and so it just felt like it put me in a not only in an uncomfortable position, but it made me want to, like, it just it made me a little bit worried, like, because if you're going to say this in front of a camera, even though it's just a joke, even though it's clear to me that it's just a joke, if you're going to say that in front of a camera, you know what are you what do you think, what are you saying, what are you thinking when you're not in front of the camera, when it's just when you're by yourself, it's uh, it just it brought me to that place. I love Tyler more than anything. I've been friends with him for 6 years, but it just it put me in that position. It made me a little bit made me uncomfortable, and it made me like question. All right, I'm a person of color. I feel like hopefully you're still my friend after that. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. I mean, as much as I can, I think perceive it and understand it and empathize with it as much as possible. That comment really struck a chord with people. I mean, Tyler is let's get to it. He is one of those people that defines this series. He's a character that stands out. He's an archetype in this series. Um, and when people are hungry and tired, people well, not even just Survivor, people use hyperbole on reality games all the time, like I'm gonna I'm not gonna say kill you, but I'm gonna get rid of you out of this game. Like the hyperbole comes through, but people understand it and perceive it as game. But comments like that Tyler made do come across as maybe slightly like personal, and so that's I think what can make him perceived as a villain to others. um, the one thing I'll say too, that this is a new medium. This live feeding a Survivor event started with Pirate Booty Camp season 3, I
Right.
think, and it spread like wildfire. I think after Survival Challenge, like everybody started doing it. Now those events didn't always record everything, right? We didn't do all the camp life, we didn't get all the confessionals, but I think now that we're getting more stuff covered, we're also uncovering the real. Like
Right.
a beautifully edited episode is amazing. Like what you put out, Jira, is literally the best Survivor YouTube stuff. Like it is the best.
Uh,
Like I'm so surprised CBS hasn't like figured
no.
like how to do this out better too. Like because they could be producing a lot more Survivors if they wanted to. But with this new live feed, you can't edit out the mistakes. Not even
Right.
mistakes. I'm not going to say it's a mistake. The uncomfortable truth that arises, that Survivor and Big Brother and life that comes out of life and conversation. So I too think that would be something that Tyler could take a moment to even comment on himself, because it's you can read the comments. It ruffled a lot of feathers.
Oh yeah, you were there. It did. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Um, And sometimes it's like, is somebody saying this, like, is it really planned out? Is this, or is it just coming off the spur of the moment? But at the same time, it was very uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, like I know Tyler, and I know that he's not like that. I definitely feel like, you know, what you said is more hyperbole, but you know, to me, my family has experienced racism in some form. Like my dad was speaking, it was like 10 years ago. My dad was speaking his native language at the grocery store, and a woman came up to him and said, "Go back to your country," and stuff like that. It just, racism is something that is real to me. And so I just I just don't like jokes about that. I mean, even if it's in jest, even if it's not meant to cause harm in any way. As a friend of Tyler and as a friend of all these boys in season 7, I hope they understand that if you want, that this is something that is real to me, and I hope that jokes like this, stop. Yeah.
Absolutely, because LRGs are predominantly still white, straight males that apply and play. And if we're looking to open this up, and everybody's actively looking to make this a more diverse, more reflective of the world and society, and everybody wants it to be a true experience, right? You're getting
Right.
people from all these different walks of life, different classes, different regions they live in, different sexualities, all
Yeah.
that stuff, and just to see how would you interact with that giant kaleidoscope of life. And hosts do the best they can, but there's so much that gets in the way of getting that perfect scenario. I
That's right.
think in all the games I've ever hosted, Jaira, I've only had even men and women once in like all of the years I've experienced it. So it's tough.
Oh yeah. No, it really is. There were some comments in my fourth season on the YouTube episodes where, like, why are there so few women? And it's always been something that's something that I want to strive towards, because you know I, I, it could definitely is could be it definitely could be harder, or it definitely is harder for women to do well if the gender ratio is off balance. So yeah, that's something I want to focus on. Diversity is something I want to focus on, and also age and sexual orientation. All of that is important. Even though I do want the best possible cast overall and the best survivor players, diversity, race, even gender ratio, all that is really important to me as well.
Absolutely. And this just brings up again, I'm urging all of the female LRG players out there.
Yes,
I want to listen to you talk. Like, this is coming from Kirk. Like, I want to hear you guys talk about your experience. LRGers, friends of color, we want to get you on these podcasts. We want to hear what your perspective is, what your experience is, why you still do it, why you love it. That's super important. So, Stacy, Jessica, Rachel's, I am
Taylor.
picking just Taylor's. We need to get you together. So start messaging the groups. Like, we will get you on. This is a huge conversation. So the one thing we can take away is that Tyler, while he maybe didn't mean to say that or did mean to say that, it did open up a conversation that we can have
That's right.
about this. Um, I do wish I could message him right now and get him on to kind of like respond to it, but I'm sure we'll see that after he listens to this.
He does, yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say about Tyler before we move to Jeff?
Well, I do want to just point out that I feel like, so I've seen Tyler play season 3, season 5, and season 7, and I do feel like season 7 Tyler is is he wasn't the best as he could have. He wasn't the best Survivor player compared to season 3 and season 5. Maybe I'm wrong, but I felt like season 7 Tyler, he didn't use every opportunity to advance himself in the game. His philosophy. I felt like in the final four, I did feel like he sort of threw in the towel a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong, but I do feel like he could have done more to save himself. I but at the same time, uh, you know, it could he could have definitely just have been voted out the final four. Um, I also saw that Tyler really did play for his friends in this season. He which is great. I appreciate that in that he didn't allow Survivor to ruin his friendships, but that's also a different Tyler that I had it come to that had I had expected to see from him when I put him on this season. But at the same time, that's totally fine. Like he can play whatever game he wants. But yeah, that's basically it. My
You
thoughts
know,
on
I
Tyler.
I I want to talk about Tyler for a second
Okay,
again.
let's
I
do
love
it.
talking about Tyler. He drives people crazy, right? But the thing is, Tyler plays the game. In every season you watch, Tyler's actively making moves, making deals, strategizing, emotionally manipulating somebody, guilt tripping another person,
That's right.
gaslighting
That's
another
right.
person while they're at it. And I'm watching this and I'm like, how does he keep it straight in his head? Like
Yeah,
that's wild. So, I mean, if you're a true Survivor fan and you want to really play the game and not just win, you want to play with people like Tyler. Tyler, because when we say play a game, it means you're not floating, you're doing something, right? You may choose to lay down low, like Tyler said that in his interview. Like, I had to lay low at certain points in the game and not do a thing. And like, you have to make those choices, but you have to make them at the right time. And that's why it's fun to watch Tyler play because he's, he gets it. I don't know how he does it.
no, he's such a compelling player, character. He embodies lie, cheat, and steal, which I love, absolutely love about Tyler. That
That's for sure. That's for sure. Um, so let's get into what we can talk about for Jeff.
okay, so um for all the episodes that have been shown of season 5, Jeff has he hasn't attended tribal until the merge. He was on a tribe that you know dominated, and where episode 6 where it finished off, he's loyal to you, Kirk. He talked about how he wants to take you to the end and all that. And we'll see what happens. And so coming into this season, I labeled him as the heroic underdog because I definitely feel like he had so much against him in season 5, and so coming into this season, he was that that hero to contrast Tyler's villain. And so when Thyatira started just winning all these challenges, and I was getting flashbacks to Medea, and like I was thinking, is Jeff gonna make it to the merge again, like completely avoiding tribal council? And so I think one thing I do want to point out is that I do feel season 5 he was very lucky in terms of how dominant Medea was, how there was a swap, and how he was able to, just insulate himself with you and all his other allies, and avoid getting the boo, avoid going to tribal council. Um, and so, him being voted out in season 7, uh, I wasn't really surprised in terms of him being voted out early. Um, but also, like we can talk about the tribe distribution of Thyatira and Ephesus.
Uh,
Looking back, I don't know. Like, there's, I don't know what else Jeff could have done to survive that first vote.
yeah, he kind of just needed to do what he did in season 5 and just win challenges all the way.
Yeah,
Which is interesting because I feel like we don't have a sense of what Jeff's game really would be in a season of Survivor where there's more pre-merged eliminations and he would go to those. Like that's
right.
not something his game's ever experienced. So he's got to play again someday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so like let's talk a little bit about the breakdown. So for this season, you broke down the tribes ahead of time.
Yes.
What went into your configurations?
Yeah, so I had all the contestants fill out a questionnaire about their talent strength, and there was like physical strength, athletic ability, endurance, puzzles, memory, balance, basically all the challenges that I was planning on having for the pre-merge. And yeah, there were some people like I think Luke mentioned it, I think Matthew mentioned it as well in their deep dives, where like they put their like challenge ability really high, and people like Mitchell and Andrew, put their challengeability a little bit lower than what it actually ended up being. And so I do admit I feel like perhaps Thyatira was the physically stronger tribe as opposed to Ephesus, but Ephesus had a lot of great puzzle masters. Actually, originally I was going to have Mitchell and Dylan switch. So Dylan was supposed to be on Thyatira,
Oh.
and Mitchell was supposed to be on Ephesus. And then our production team, after we did our preseason roundtable, we were talking, and it was brought up how Dylan would be better on Ephesus and Mitchell would be better on Thyatira, mostly because of personalities. And so I agreed to that, and I don't know. It definitely could have changed the game if Mitchell and Dylan had remained on their original tribes for sure. So, yeah. Jeff almost actually was able to just win all the challenges of pretty much with the Thyatira tribe. That's true.
Yes. And then he just had that tragic island of Patmos visit, which like everything, like all of the logic says like, Jeff, you're making the right choice. Like I think I don't know, like I thought he was possibly making the right choice by not being selfish, but it bit him in the ass so bad. Like like rough. Nobody believed him. Everybody already thought there was maybe an idol then in play. I mean, it was like he couldn't win at that point.
Yeah, I know, but honestly, that moment, the prisoner's dilemma idol was so amazing. I wouldn't change it for the world. I wanted to. It was so amazing. It was like the highlight for me of the pre-merge for that season.
It's yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's when Kevin emerged too as just like I thought he was a sleeper. My instinct was him and Liam were both going to be voted out first and second, either or. Like that was my gut from watching the live feeds. And then Kevin gets the idol and comes back to camp on fire, and he comes back to camp as a survivor, like he's a survivor player. Like
Yep,
it
I
was like
know.
Island of Patmos, he went as a newbie and he came out a player.
As a player,
And then
exactly.
it's like, oh, but he's a player that is going to make the wrong move with the idol. Sorry if I'm going to turn this into the Kevin show. Kevin's another one that I'm a huge fan of.
Oh,
And
he's amazing.
yeah, I just want to watch him again and again and again in different games.
Yeah, no, same. Yeah, no, Kevin definitely just you have it in you to win an LRG. You should apply definitely.
Yeah, for
Any
sure.
of these amazing LRGs that we have.
So that would have been interesting if Dylan had been on the other tribe, Mitchell had been on that. Like that would have made the final part of the game shake out so differently.
Oh yeah, totally.
So maybe let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges. What are some of your favorite challenges you put on this season?
Yeah, well, I loved the sacrificial lamb. I'm really happy about that challenge. I felt like it went well. I do want to talk about that last part, the fire making portion of that challenge. So when Keenan was making the fire, he lit the toilet paper on fire, and then um, he kind of destroyed the fire making structure, so that the string that the players had to burn kind of just fell apart. And after that, I was like, oh man, what are we gonna do? And so I just decided to give them immunity. Looking back now, this probably I should have made the call of Keenan had to make the fire, and the fire had to be tall enough to at least be where the string was at before it got destroyed. So that was a bad call on my part, and I take full responsibility. But also at the same time, you've played Survivor BC. Vancouver is really strict against fires, and there's like $1,000 fine if you are caught building a fire that isn't in a closed fire pit. And so that fire making portion of the challenge was essentially last minute because the park ranger had shown up. So he wasn't going to show up again, and so that was. I do feel bad that I made a bad call in that challenge, but at the same time, the word puzzle was supposed to be the last part of that challenge, not fire making. But I'm hoping hoping one day I'll be able to find a location where we can actually have fire, where the tribes can have fire, where we can actually have a good fire making uh, challenge.
Yeah, it can be scary though too. I will tell you that. Like when I
Right.
saw Adam Bradford like bringing an entire tree out of the woods for a fire making challenge, I hope he's watching too. I was like, Adam, settle down. This is not a bonfire. This is a survivor fire. Like
When which game was this?
that was Coco Pele, the last one, season 7.
Ooh.
And he went into the woods and he was bringing back firewood, but like trees, like giant logs. So you have to give them clear rules. And what kind of flint were you using? That was different than what I've seen before.
Oh, well, so it
It
was
it
coals.
looked like it had a clicker or something. No?
No, no, there was a flint and there was a chain attached to a knife, and that was it. It's ordinary. It was an ordinary flint.
Gotcha. Like with a
Yeah,
striker and you
with a striker. Yeah, that's right.
yep, okay. My bad. I couldn't tell.
Uh,
So, but yeah, the fire making challenges could be amped up for sure. And
yeah,
that happens. Bad calls happen. We just saw on Big Brother last week. I don't know if you watched US Big Brother, but they did an HOH challenge where they had to hop on these springboards from one point A to point B. And the second person came out, and some of them were wobbly, some of them stood still. But the person that had gone first, the springboards were still wobbling. So the person knew which path to take so they wouldn't fall down. So the shows make bad calls all the time. It just happens, it's part of sports.
that's right. That's right. Yeah. But actually, thinking of a bad challenge, mess ups. Let's talk about the Rubik's cube. Okay, so
Oh,
uh,
okay. Let's go there. Let's go.
all right. So about 5 years ago, I was at a Christmas party, and I'm more of a wallflower, so I don't really like hanging out with other people at parties. And I was just there, and I saw this Rubik's cube. It was a it was exact same four sided Rubik's cube, and it was messed up. So I was just playing around with it, and then I solved it. And so when I was looking for puzzles, I was at Walmart. I was looking for puzzles to use for this particular challenge. And I got a slide puzzle. I got other puzzles, and then I saw the Rubik's cube, and I was thinking back, oh, I solved it back way back when. This should be easy. And so even when I bought it and it was already solved, and so I turned it, I think eight times, 8 or 9 times, not more than 10. And oh man, I just feel so embarrassed, honestly, that that challenge was a mess up. I honestly think it was a fluke. Me solving that Rubik's cube way back when in during that Christmas party, it was probably a fluke. Probably someone probably had it almost finished, and I just completed it for them.
It could be. And also, it's the difference between you chilling at a party and these players who are like, oh my God, I'm going to get voted out if I don't do this.
Yeah.
So I can imagine being on a Rubik's Cube, like sweating, like dripping, trying to figure it out. Like, I've never done a Rubik's Cube in my life. I would have just
Uh,
like passed out. Like, I definitely would not have been that person though. Like,
uh,
I would have been like, oh, I'll do something else. I'll run in the challenge.
right. Yeah.
Which is it's a weird strategy. You know how like do you place yourself early in the challenge, or as a player do you place yourself towards the end to be the hero, complete the puzzle, or does that get you eliminated? I'm
Right.
wondering, I've heard this on kind of Rob has a podcast, some people talking about maybe we should stop. We're always breaking up challenges to be physical, mental, and like a puzzle. And maybe we just need a challenge to just be physical, and then the next challenge to just be mental. And then,
Right.
but I know as a host, I love those giant multi-stage challenges where everybody does a different thing to come to the end result. So
Right.
you can't please everybody.
Yeah. No, that's right. That's right.
So let's talk about. So we talked a little bit about Kevin already, who emerged. Who are
Yes.
some of the other players that just emerged as as maybe your favorites or people you were rooting for? Because there is a secret, us as hosts, sometimes we're not biased, but sometimes we secretly root for somebody. I mean,
No, that's
I do at least.
for sure. Yeah. Well, I do want to preface this with I loved everyone on the cast and I was rooting for all of them, but I was really impressed. Well, first off, I was really impressed with Stevie. Um, he's such an amazing person. He's such an amazing character. He's just was bringing confessional. He was bringing tribal council. I just love him, and he on him, his story is like amazing to watch. Even when he was breaking it down during that final three immunity challenge about how he was in the dark, then his star kept getting brighter, and then he found his light by the Pink Boys. I think that's beautiful. I love this storytelling that he gave. So there's Stevie, and then I'm also so high on Dylan. If you listen to my preseason podcast with our production members, I was really low on Dylan. I thought he was going to be voted out pre-jury. I wasn't impressed with him. His interview, he was a little bit on the cocky side, but he totally impressed me. Him being able to navigate through Ephesus and through the merge, and then all the way to the end. I think that's very impressive of him to do that. He made mistakes, but he I felt like he embodied what the game of Survivor is about right now, where you make moves to try to advance yourself, and if you make a move and it blows up in your face, and you keep going. I think that's important in life as well. You just keep trying. If you keep trying, if you give up, you keep trying again, even though even though you failed. And so those two, definitely Dylan and Stevie, but I mean everyone else I loved in their own different ways. I love Knight and his his drive. He's a little bit of a mafia boss. I love
He's
that.
not Knight is intense. Like
Oh
I
yeah,
love his intensity, but he's also just fun. He's a fun person. Like doing the podcast with him, he was so relaxed and chill
yeah,
and laughing all the time. So yeah, but he's
yeah.
intense too.
Oh, he is. I played a mini with him. What was it? A sequester mini with him. And oh yeah, he's totally like he's totally a mafia boss. I was scared of him at some moments during that, and I can't imagine
Oh,
playing with him in this season, a 6-day game, how it was for those players.
I am super intrigued. I know this is about BC, but you're talking about another live reality game here. I know it's a mini, and I know everybody knows me, and I don't think they qualify. But let's still talk about it. You played a sequester mini?
Oh
I
no, I
didn't know
mean,
this.
okay, no, it was a live sequester mini. So like the BC boys like sometimes like to do we'd go to Trevor's house or someone's house
Yeah.
or and we would just play either
Oh, I
Sequester or
love it.
Big Brother or Survivor for a day. And yeah, I played a Sequester mini, like a live Sequester mini with Jordan, actually in
Oh,
Nolan's cabin back in June. Yeah,
that's
and we played
so
like Mafia
cool.
Boss.
I wish I didn't live like I love Michigan, but I wish I was out there. You guys are always having so much fun.
We miss you. We wish y'all were there.
I
Y'all were
know.
here.
I hope someday the borders open back up and
I know.
I'll be back to visit or help out or something. Um so yeah, so I mean, you know who else we haven't talked at all about Aiden and Andrew as being kind of a drama, at least for, well, I think both the players and the fans at home. Um, I thought it was a pleasure speaking with both of them. I got to know them a lot better in the interview than I feel like they kind of showed their personalities in the game. Andrew is hilarious.
Oh
He's
yeah.
so funny, so chill. Um, but there was that whole drama with them and Tyler having a pre-made. I don't. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, no. So I definitely feel like I was in a similar situation. That 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 is similar to Aiden and Andrew and Tyler when I competed on Real Foot 7 back in June of 2019. And so I do feel a lot of empathy for them for any hate that they have received. At the same time, I'm going to make sure that future seasons of Survivor BC it never happens again in terms of people knowing each other, then being able to have dinner before the game. But I'm so thankful, so thankful that Aiden and Andrew were able to compete because they helped round out the cast to make it more full. And also, like, they're awesome. They're so awesome, and I'm so grateful to have met them. And they helped elevate the cast to make it as great as I felt it was. And yeah, so basically, I emphasize with them for any hate that they received, and I hope they're down to play Survivor BC again. I hope they're down to, or also just to compete in another LRG if they want to, just to get that second chance without Tyler or without a friend. No, it's always I really want sorry, I really want to play an LRG because this community is so tight. It's hard to compete in LRG where you don't know anyone. But yeah, that's a goal. That's a goal of mine.
You
To
kind of have to do your research. There are a ton
Right.
of small games out there that we haven't heard of that aren't on our radar yet.
Yeah.
We're still reaching our tentacles out trying to find everybody, but it just seems like they crop up all the time. And so I always say the best advice is like scour Facebook and scour YouTube for little versions out there and see if the host, like privately message the host and see if they're still putting on an event and then jump on it. I know of a couple friends that play a lot of survivors that way, and a lot of people don't know that they've played like 10, 12 times.
Oh, wow.
And that's a lot of experience. Like, that's dangerous. Like, it's like twice as much as Boston Rob, at least not time, but the amount of times you've played.
Right.
That's just crazy. So, but I mean, for those that want the experience, I mean, that's kind of like what you gave me for season 5. I've played a few times and then I interview for this thing, I get cast in it. I have to fly across the country, across the border, land in this city I've never been to before, get picked up by somebody I've never met before, and then we drive up the side of a mountain. You throw me out basically with my sleeping bag into the cabin, and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm on Survivor. Like, I feel like I don't know a person here. It was so thrilling and scary at the same time.
Oh,
So for
that's
those of you
awesome.
that are looking for that experience, it's so cool. It made, I don't know, it made my Survivor journey complete in a lot of ways.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. No, I'm so grateful, Kirk. I remember when you we were talking. Actually, it was about like when I was having trouble with Survivor Canada and legal trouble with Survivor Canada. I had to change it to Survivor BC. I remember when you told me, Kirk, that you wanted to compete on Survivor BC. I was so happy. I was honestly so happy, so grateful that you did. And then you actually did for season 5. So
No, but it worked. And it was a good time. I can't wait till I can talk more about it. And
yes.
speaking of, for everybody out there, we are trying to get in development right now somebody to talk about the season 5 episodes as they come out and maybe do a little retrospective. And I just want to put that out there. We're still looking for other people that want to hear themselves talk a lot on these. That especially people. Let's say you're a super fan of this particular game, like you love the Mole Ohio. You've watched every episode. We want you to join our team. You love Survival Challenge. You know everything about Survival Challenge. We want you on our team. Like, it doesn't matter how big your game is, how small it is, as long as it's in real life. That's all that matters.
That's exactly.
So, I don't know. So as the game was shaken out, like, is there any other things you want to talk about, like crazy idle plays, strategies of the players, or is there what sticks out to you? What is season 7?
To me, season 7 was uh, a season um, that is a miracle. It's a miracle that it
Mm.
happened because of the pandemic. It's a miracle that it happened because I had a full cast and then had a ton of people dropped out, but then I was able to find another cast happen, another cast filled with great players that were able to play. And so with I took shots. I tried to make a final six twist that some people say worked, some people say didn't work, and for me to never do it again. Um, but at the same time, Survivor is all about taking shots, and sometimes you land them, sometimes they miss. And at the end of the day, I'm really thankful. I'm really happy with how the season turned out. And and when I started this season, back in September, when I started making plans for this season, uh, one of the reasons why I wanted to do one in 2020 was because I just I was so grateful about grateful for the friends I made in season six among the cast and the crew, and I kind of just want to continue that. I wanted to because growing up I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't have this a close group of friends that I could call a squad or anything like that. And so that formed in season six, and I just wanted to continue that. And I'm just so grateful for these people who have taken a shot with this series that they probably knew nothing about, and just to join a series that I've created and was helped out with also amazing people who were supporting me and did all this filming and all this buying food and all that. Just it means so much to me. And so that's the main reason why I did this season, and I tried to persevere through all the problems that kept coming my way. It was because I just wanted to um, continue this friendship, this family I'm so appreciative of, uh, and that's why season seven happened in the middle of a pandemic.
A miracle
Yes,
in the tribulation. That's a
that's right.
beautiful way to put it. And how beautiful to for people who have never played this feeling of family and friendship after you play such an intense game with so many emotions. We hear it all the time across the board. People walk away with lifelong friendships, lifelong relationships. Children have come from LRGs. Like it's just so incredible to see this your family kind of develop like this and support you. Have you ever thought about uh, you have a lot of fans out there. I don't know, like moving to the next level, like a Patreon, like being supported more by your fans, or do you already have one and I'm just unaware?
No, I don't have a Patreon.
Okay.
I've always thought about it, but I had to really think about it more. But to me, uh, just uh, just just the connection, the friendship,
Mm.
the relationships that I've been able to form, and people uh, who give Survivor BC a shot. Survivor BC is not as great as Survival Challenge or Adventure Cocapelli, which is amazing. Um, so whenever someone applies, I'm so thrilled. I'm so happy, and so that means more to me than money. But yeah, no, I'll think about possibly doing a Patreon.
Who knows?
Who knows?
It's
Yeah,
just throwing it out there. So you're kind of talking about, like the excitement when somebody applies. There's
yeah,
some stuff on the horizon. You've kind of released some information. Do you
that's
want to
right.
talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I am putting into the works. I'm preparing for a season eight. Uh, next summer, the plan is either for June 6 to 12 or July 25 to 31, 2021. Uh, and I have a application form, tinyurl.com/Survivor Canada BC, if you want to apply. And um, basically, I just I don't have a set date yet because I want to make sure I can secure a location, a good location, and also secure everything else, volunteers as well, and also timing. And so yeah, that's Survivor BC is coming up next year, next summer, and apply. It would mean a world to me. I hope to see you apply if you're watching.
Yeah, for sure. It's not going to take you too long to apply and just put the feelers out there, even if you're not sure if it's your first time. We will also put a link to the application in the description to this video, and it will also be on the Live Reality Games casting page. It might already be there, but we'll make sure there's a link as well there, which is
Yes.
super exciting to get out of these doldrums and hopefully the world like
Yes,
gets
hopefully.
healthy. I just want people to be well and be able to get, because this is part of your wellness, right? Getting out there and playing these games. Oh, Steven, I think just posted it for us.
All right. Thank you, Stephen.
So it's in the comments if you want to click it right now, right as you're watching this, click that comment and fill out the link. Especially if you're a female.
Yes, yes, especially if you're a female.
Not that there's any bias in this game, but heck, if I
Yes.
had like 16 females, I would legit cast an all-female version of Survivor, and I would just say, "Sorry, that's Coco Pele this year. It's all ladies."
Oh, that would be amazing.
Wouldn't it
We
be?
should,
It'd
we
be
should go
so.
for it. Go for it.
It'd be so good. It would be so good.
It would be.
So okay, so it's kind of wrapping it up here. It's been amazing chatting with you, my friend. There's a lot. Survivor BC, 7 seasons. That's huge. That's amazing, and planning for more to come. We can't wait to see
Exactly.
the what you create. Um, that is it. I think there might be one more podcast tonight. I'm still
Ooh,
looking at my notes. Um, I think a Survivor Michigan one. It's coming up soon this week. We haven't updated the calendar, but I'm sure we'll get some information out to those of you that like seeing that calendar. Thanks
all
again
right.
for watching with us, friends. We
Yes,
will
thank
talk.
you so much, Kirk. Sorry, I
Yeah,
cut you off.
it was my pleasure, my friend. So we will talk to you soon.
All right, see you.